Vino stonks. Oh, I mean, hi. I know I've made so much money on the stock market. I have a little PP portfolio, but percentage-wise, it's a lot. It's cool. It's very cool. How are you doing, Vino? I mean, I know you're doing good today, but like, otherwise, and other things, how you doing? CC Creations, hey, waving right back at you. Yes. Oh my gosh. I found something really cool. Well, I mean, people linked it to me like a week ago, and I was like, I don't want to look at it yet, blah, blah. I want to figure my own things, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that's fine. I did want to look at, I did want to look at it, but I wanted to wait until it got to a certain point, until I was ready to absorb some new information, like some new code. And so, who was it that linked it to me? I think it was Sir Legna. Oh, I'll show you what I'm doing over here. It was Zariab. This guy here, Samuel Cardillo. I believe it's something like that. He's got a GitHub. You can go check it out. It's just open for people to look at it and use. I'm not going to copy it, but I want to look at it and learn how he's doing it, and like, I guess kind of copy the methods, but not copy paste it. You know what I mean? I want to see how he's doing it, because he's got he's got it set up so that you can use like Mog's Chrono engine and monetization, and this guy's basically set the framework for that other for that other MMO, the MVMMO. Basically, they just took this guy's stuff and then tried to make a game with that stuff, but which, yeah, I don't think they could sell that for $500, because this guy, he made it. This guy made it. I don't know if he's one of the guys on Omen. You have Mordain, and then you have another person. So, if this is the guy that made it, and he's also one of the devs to that team, then he really probably can do that, but he can't include like Mog Hunter stuff.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a concern about licensing.
Oh my God, T's here. Hey, hi. T, how's it going?
Hi.
I was telling everybody that I finally like cracked, and I needed to look at this other guy's code.
Yeah.
And I did yesterday, and I was like, holy shit, it's so clean. It looks so good.
Yeah, it does though. I looked at it. It's very, very clean.
Compared to mine looks really bad. Mine looks so terrible. He's got it all like. Anyway, we're gonna dive into the code, and I'm gonna show you Samuel Cardillo's code, and I'm gonna try to learn. We're gonna try to absorb his essence. You know what I'm saying? That's different. That's something different. We're gonna try to learn from his code. All right. Let me scroll back down. Come join us on Discord. Links in the description below. We're talking about this project in MZMMO_coding under production. I finally, Sir Legna and I were debugging and trying to figure out why his plugin wasn't working for me. And the thing is, he doesn't really have a bug in his code. It doesn't work because it doesn't work with. It didn't work for me because it doesn't work if you have Visustella's plugin, the events move core on.
And that's a really necessary one.
I want it.
Yeah.
So I basically turned off those plugins from Sir Legna, just this one, the event cloner. So it doesn't work with the VS event core plugin, event move core yet. So right now it doesn't work, but I see Sir Legna's in the chat. Dang, did you all just go straight to live? Yeah, we did. There's probably the reason why you didn't get any notifications is because I made it. I scheduled it 2 minutes before.
Yeah.
It was like 1:57 or something.
We have been pretty good about scheduling it ahead of time, but today, stuff.
What are you gonna do?
Happens. Yeah.
It's fine. It doesn't really matter that much. I mean, it's kind of a chill stream. People can come in and go as they please. We're just going to be working on a project, looking at some code, talking about the engine and stuff like that. Talking a little bit about stonks. Holy shit, ITRM making that money.
Yeah, I hit 130% above my initial investment today.
You've got back 130%.
130%, so I've more than doubled my investment so far.
It's so good.
It's so sick.
Hey Talika, how you doing? Janine, how are you, Janine? Devour the enlightenment. Yes, that's something we have to do. Corey Davis is here with a $5 super chat. How are you doing, Corey? Thank you so much for tuning in. He says I'm here. That's good. I'm glad you're here, man. Hey, I liked your video. I watched it.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I was laughing a little bit through it. I was like, preach, preach, preach.
Yeah.
Check out Corey's channel. You can. I have a link to his itch page. Corey, do you want me to put a link to your YouTube in the description? Because I mean, you pay me enough money where I don't have a problem doing that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Skepsis D, what's up? KV Kingdom's here. CC Creation Vino's here. Talika showed up. Skepsis D's waving. Corey Davis is here dropping some money. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just Discord me the link to your main channel. And I'll put that in the description. Don't let me forget, because I'm good at forgetting.
How about that ITRM, Corey?
KV's saying ITRM also making money for me.
Heck yeah.
How many shares did you get, KV? No, you don't have to say it. That's fine.
But Corey was warning us yesterday that it was dipping, and I'm like, don't worry about it.
I ain't scared.
It's not going.
No,
it's going up. It's
yeah.
only going. It's only going up. Right now, it's still cheap. You could buy in and probably still make some money on this.
Another $5 super chat from Corey Davis. Thank you so much for the $5 again, Corey. Appreciate that. He says, yeah, and Bitcoin is over 44.
Yeah, Bitcoin's killing it.
I've made a little on Bitcoin, not a lot.
I'm too scared with Bitcoin. Bitcoin scares me.
Vino with a $2 super chat saying Drifty should go public. I'd buy stock at $drift.
Yeah, let's do an IPO. 2 cents a share.
What does our company make though? I mean,
amazing content.
I suppose we make videos, but I don't know. I don't see how
we could do it like a Kickstarter. If we get above a certain value, we'll do stuff.
I gotta think bigger if I want to do. If we want to do IPO, I gotta think bigger. I have to we have to make some other products. We need to make a line of tutorial, private tutorials, or I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's too much work. I'm too lazy for that. I just want to work on my project. And
I'm working on my game again.
That's great.
Last night I was joking about kickstarting it because one of the reasons why it doesn't exist is because I've had to learn how to do art because default's not good enough, and I'm also cheap and, well, not cheap, but the income level isn't right for paying for everything, and
yeah.
So I was like, what if I kickstarted it? But that was just a joke. It was a joke.
Nah, I don't think we need to kickstart because we've already paid for a lot of your assets. Mm-hmm. Sir Legna, Drifty, sell your MZMMO at $500 to buy. No way, man.
Do it. No, I'm joking.
No. KV says, I want to see T's game. It's been unavailable since 2017.
I know. As soon as the IGMC was over, I left it up for a week, and then I took it right down because I'm like, this is not an accurate representation of the end product, because it was made in 25 days, 26 days. So
it was for a game jam.
Yeah.
And it scored pretty high.
Yeah, it got 11th with the judges, 13th with Peoples, I think.
And the IGMC had a lot of entries.
Yeah,
I don't know how
260.
Many. There was 260 entries, so 11th place is pretty good.
I was happy. That was the first game I ever made. I had only used RPG Maker for 7 months.
Technically, you had made a game before that. I saw it.
Well, it wasn't finished, though. That was the first one I finished.
Right. You had started a project, and it was going for a couple months.
My first project takes 3 hours to play. I can't believe how far I got into it.
It's a big, messy...
And there's no battle system. So that's 3 hours of straight game.
Well, it does have a battle system, but you get into a fight, and then one hit, they die.
Yeah.
And, there's no balance. It's just, you can't lose, and you just
I didn't work on the battle system, really. There's nothing to speak of.
So yesterday we added some Rng Dungeon Generation. I'm not going to do too much of this until we get to the next video next week, because Arrow's going to join us again, and we're going to talk about the tutorial and his blog and how to add it, and I want to go in depth with it. But I'm really excited, and I haven't even closed it. I still have it up over here, because I was following the tutorial some more. So we'll keep that on the back burner. I'm going to be adding custom lots of custom stuff, but I don't want to custom make all my maps because you guys know I love mapping so much.
So like, no, it's not 3 hours straight dialogue. There's actually a lot of like mini games. There's a carnival with a bunch of mini games, and then there's a dungeon with a lot of puzzles and mini games in it, and there's gameplay. It's just not a battle system.
Right. Like I said, I don't want to customize all my maps here, so I'm going to be randomly generating them.
Yeah.
And that's going to be Marcel Arrow Ka. Hey, what's up? Arrow's in the chat. Arrow's in the chat, everyone. So I'm glad he's here. Maybe we'll take a look a little bit at it. Dialogue. 3 hours of dialogue.
Uh-huh. Hey, if you want to see it, I actually played a good chunk of it on the channel.
Did you put that on Tease Jams? Or did you play it on Driftwood Gaming?
On Driftwood Gaming, I think, yeah. I didn't start from the beginning. I started from like the middle and then played like an hour or something.
For those who mocked Sundial, I'm up 210% and I went heavy. Oh, shit!
Yeah.
Vino's making bank.
I don't know why it's rising, because it's the company itself. Gosh, I don't want to touch it with a 20-foot pole.
I was about to, and then I didn't. And I went into HL, and HL keeps going down. And I'm really upset about that, Vino.
I went into
next time I'm gonna abandon what I think is gonna happen, and I'm just gonna go with what you think is gonna happen, and then that's how I think it's gonna go. It's gonna work better that way in the future.
I went into Sundial and then got super excited about ITRM and had like $4.
And you sold everything.
I sold all my stocks. I'm 100% in on ITRM.
And she put every cent that she had invested into this one stock.
And I
Talk
kept
about
saying,
the opposite of diversifying.
And I kept saying to Drifty, "Hey, you want to put some more money in? We could put some more money. You want to put some more money? We're doing. Why don't we put a little bit more in?"
Because we got to stick to the plan, T. We have a plan. We got to stick to that plan.
I wanted to put $1,000 in last week.
I know, but
I really did.
But the thing is, it's too much of a risk because you've got other things that we need that money for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta use money that you can lose.
You got to afford to lose every cent that you put in. We got to stick to that plan. You know, I'm following what I was taught by Corey. And it's working. It is working. You can't tell me it ain't working. Mm-hmm. So let's stick to that plan.
Yeah, it's working. I'm up 130%. That's definitely working.
Yeah, and I'm making good profit too on it. And like I said, it's little PP portfolio. But anyway, discard changes. Yeah, because I don't know what I moved around on accident.
You know what, Sir Lenga? That's funny. He says T's plans all on red. I actually look for the companies that are like have failed monumentally in the past 5 years, but have a new product that's doing well. Like ITRM was $12 before, and then they tanked. They went down to like 50 cents. Mm-hmm. That's my company right there. I like that.
They got bought by another company. They got acquired or something, and then they bought from Johnson & Johnson, I think. They bought a drug, and they started researching it, and then they put a petition into the FDA. What is it called? The NDA.
New drug approval.
Yeah, they applied for the NDA, which got pushed to FDA.
It's expected to be approved in July.
The FDA is still pending its approval, but everyone says like it's definitely going to be approved, and so everybody's excited about this stock, and you have big investors putting millions of dollars into it. And it went from the volume trading of about 10 million traded per day to 200 something million.
Yeah, yesterday the volume was 200 million.
200 million trades, stocks traded. And so, like, it's picking up a lot of steam. $5 super chat from Corey Davis. Thank you again, Corey. Appreciate that $5. He says, next week's, I'm going hard. He's going to go hard next week. What are you going hard on?
Yeah, what are you jumping in, man?
What are you jumping on?
I can't leave my ITRM. I keep looking at other stocks and I'm like, but I can't. I can't take anything from my baby. It's my baby. I just want to add more.
Yeah. I don't know though. I mean, it's planned to. I'm expecting it to go up to $5-6. Some people say it'll go to 10 to 20. I don't really know about that. I bet those people are ready to jump off when it hits 9. They're going to say, oh, it'll go to 20, keep buying, so that they can get out when they need to get out.
My plan is when it gets to 4, I'm going to research the heck out of it again and just see where it is, see if it's supposed to climb even more. If it is, I'm going to hold.
Yeah. I'm
going to hold and I'm going to wait. But if it looks like it's going to dip, I might jump ship at 4. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so looking at this is my code. I have 2 JS files. One is for the client and one is for the server. And this is the client JS. It's a lot of commented out code, tons of stuff that I haven't got working right, and it's basically a connect, disconnect, and it's got some exceptions and running evals and little things like that. $5 super chat from Corey Davis. He goes, if I send to Robinhood now, thank you so much. I appreciate the $5, Corey. If I send to Robinhood now, I want to be able to put any money.
Won't be able to put any money until next week anyways. He wants to do options and stuff. Robinhood will only let you do that if you have a margin. So he's got to put a margin in.
Oh, I see.
Get that margin, Corey.
Right. Okay. So if you want to do options trading, you're going to have to add more to Robinhood, and it'll take like 5-6 business days.
Yeah, it takes a bit.
Yeah, that's why he said next week. Okay, I get it, Corey. Thank you for the $5. Vino dropping $5 as well. He says Robinhood is still on the rise. All retail stocks are. My personal guess, retail investing will skyrocket this year, causing the entire market to grow. Thank you for the $5, Vino. Appreciate that. And that's a good prediction. I have no idea, and it's hard to say for sure, but I'm glad that you're being open with your predictions because they've been right, and I've seen your portfolio, and holy shit, man.
Vino was the one that tipped us off on ITRM.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vino.
Thank you, Vino.
Hey, I'm a broker now, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
My 14-year-old son, I'm his broker.
Talika, the Reckless Gamer, says, Address of Gaming, thanks for streaming. This is getting me through math class right now. Well, all right. That's good. Nothing like a little bit of stock talk to get through math class, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of math related if anyone were to ask. You know, it's still math related there.
Absolutely.
It's about making that monies. Sir Legna, you need to record your overview of your MZMMO.
So Legna says, if you're a broker, then you can incorp that. We've talked about it. It's not time yet. One of these days, we might become like an LLP or something.
LLC.
LLP.
A let's play.
Yes.
A limited liability company.
That thing. The litigation.
No.
Ligament corporation.
Ligament corporation. That's right. That's what it means. I got a little bit of a buffer there. Sorry about that. I saw that. It didn't show it on the OBS, but I saw it spin on the preview.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else experienced that.
If your quality went down, just reset it to the highest.
LLP, LLCCC5 Corps PL lol. Anyway, looking at my client, right? You know, there's a structure, there's a skeleton in here. Most of it is commented out, broken stuff that I tried and didn't work. A lot of it works, and we do have saving and loading, and it's, you know, I'm proud of my progress so far. It's been about a month. I've worked on it for about a month, and I wouldn't say that it's, you know, it's outstanding, but it's definitely, I've learned a lot going throughout this in the process. When I started this, I didn't even know how to use Socket, and now I do know how to use WebSockets and, you know, Socket.io. And so I feel like I've learned a lot over the last month. And then here's the server JS that I have running in a administrator PowerShell ISE, and it's connecting to we've got our MySQL server running to store the data, and you know, I've learned a lot, and I feel like I've made a ton of progress, but right now I kind of hit a roadblock, and I need to look at other people's examples, people who are far better than me. I need to look at what they're doing and try to see if I can restructure what I'm doing to work in a better way, right? I need to refactor a bit. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to look at another person's code, and then I'm going to see if I can take those ideas and put them into the way that I'm designing my server and client. Now, this is using a different database, so I can't just like copy paste them and make it work, because it's using it was developed in MV, but it was transferred so that it can work in MZ. I'm looking at the MZ version of that project, and it's using a different database altogether. Like, it's not using SQL. I forgot which one it is exactly, but there's like an 8-minute video if you watch it. Code thief? Not necessarily, sorry. I think all ideas are already created and we're only recreating existing ideas. I'm sure that, let's look at his name. Let's go to this guy's code. This is created by Samuel Lespes Cardillo. And I'm sure he got ideas, he was stolen, inspired ideas from other people, right? This is how it always works. And now I'm looking at his code. I'm going to be looking at his code, and we're going to be inspired by his ideas. And I don't plan to go copy, paste, because that's not what I want. I don't learn anything that way. But if I can see what they're doing and then try to, you know, write it out myself, and even if it looks similar, like that would help me. If I can understand what I'm doing, it'll help me learn. And then in the future, when I move to make another project or work on this project later on, I'm not like dependent on finding somebody else's code. I can draw upon what I've learned by looking at a bunch of different code. $2 super chat from Vino. Thank you so much, Vino, for the $2. Sent you PayPal money invested in cannabis, not ITRM. You sent some PayPal money, did you? My gosh.
Vino, check out this one. You can only get on, you can't get it on Robinhood, but get a pencil out, get something out, type something. I don't know. Take a note. VLNCF. Check that one out.
Oh my gosh. Vino just sent us $50, guys. So I'm going to send the message.
Put it either in Sundial or OG? OGI? Oh, I got to look at that.
OGI.
Because Sundial put a bad taste in my mouth. I was reading about it. I'm
okay,
like,
so... well, it put a good taste in Vino's mouth because
it did.
It's made him good money.
Yeah.
Let's go to Wall of Heroes. Thank you so much, Vino. We appreciate the $50, and we will invest it. We will put it in the market for sure. So this is thank you at Vino with a big heart. Thank you. 25 for Drifty, 25 for T. You must each put this in either Sundial or OGI. Now it's a free investment for you.
I'm
Good
putting
luck.
it in OGI right now just because.
All right, let me go ahead and transfer.
I'm doing it right now.
Let me go to my cash. I'm gonna do it. Can you do this on? Yeah, you can do this on Robinhood. So I'm gonna put 25 in right here. Review the transfer, submit, yada yada yada. It gives me instant access. I got that. Sorry, I'm not gonna show my portfolio on the stream, but I just put $25 in. And which one are you doing?
Organigram.
OGI, huh?
Yeah.
Organigram.
Organigram. Yeah, that's the one.
Wow, it's gone up 27% today. Are you sure we should buy it on today?
I don't know, man.
It seems like it's about to go down.
Vino said do it. We just have to do it. Okay?
Wow.
Go look at Sundial. It's gone up even more, I think.
Okay. Right now, people are like, just hold it, which makes me want to buy it, because when they're like, sell it, I'm like, nope. I don't believe these rating. Like, these people who... Like, who are these supposed to be for? You know, the 73% of analysis rate Organigram as a whole. I'm like, well, maybe that means you should buy it at this time. So here we go. I'm going to put $25 in Organigram. That's going to get me 4.48 shares. Let's go ahead and review that order. Buy it. My phone's going to make me triple verify. It's just stupid. Yep. Okay. And... go to my portfolio and hit refresh as soon as it does the transaction. The market is open, so it should happen quick. Any second now. There we go. Okay, I've got it, and I've lost 4 cents. All right. Well, that's because there's a bid-ask spread. But no, it's okay. It's zero now. It's back to zero. I have 4.48 shares of OGI, and it's made me 5 cents. There we go. I'm already making money. Nope, 2 cents. Sorry. 5 cents. All right, that's it for that. Thank you so much, Vino. Appreciate that. A $5 super chat from Corey Davis saying, now we're all flowing in cash. Look at us passing cash around. Thank you for the $5, Corey. That's awesome. You lost 4 cents. Sell it now. No. No. I like that. Let's get
I wanted to invest in New York companies, but Robinhood doesn't have any of them. What's wrong with you, Robinhood? Fine, whatever. I'm just going to put it in here. 25. OG.
What do you mean New York company?
My original G.
It's original gangster I.
Done. $25. Yeah, TD Ameritrade does free
trades now.
Free trades.
That's good. I might open a TD account.
Yeah, I've had it pinned for like a week now. I did open an account. I just haven't put any money in it yet.
$5 super chat from Corey Davis. Oh, that's why you got that. That's why you were saying that. Thank you so much for the $5. Appreciate that, Corey. He's asking, is TD Ameritrade free for TD Ameritrade have free trades? And yeah, I believe it does now. I don't know if it has other fees. I haven't looked into it too much.
yeah, I think if you do other stuff other than just trades, it may charge you.
Do you have to pay for like your account, with the brokerage?
No, but I don't know if they take any money when you withdraw either.
Vino says, I have one stock left in the red that's lost $300.
Ooh, ouch.
I won't sell it until it's recovered. Or do they go bankrupt, right?
KV Kingdom says he's up 194% on Jinko
JKS.
Solar. Nice.
Man, people in
That's a
the
good
stocks
climb.
channel are just passing around good tips on
Heck yeah.
green energy stocks, weed stocks.
Heck yeah.
and
We got a good stonks channel.
We do have a fantastic stonks channel. You should join us in the Discord. Links in the description below.
Oh no, now my portfolio diversity is not 100% anymore.
Right. So well, I mean, your portfolio diversity of one stock being 100%. Right?
Yeah, I was 100% into ITRM, but thanks to Vino, I've got some in OG now.
Yeah. All right, so looking at Samuel Lespescardillo's code, this is a plugin for MV, right? It says MV, but it could run on MZ, is what he says. So it's for MV, and it uses a different database. But I believe most of what we see can still be used in the methods that are being used inside our plugin. So right off the bat, he's defining a function. He's calling it MMO core function. And then it looks like he's applying some kind of aliasing to it. It's saying this.initialize.apply this, comma, arguments. And this is what you would do basically when you're aliasing something. So he's defining the function as itself, passing in its own data for this function as an object, right? And then passing arguments as well. And then we can refer to MMO_core as if it was an object, a function, right? Most of it is JavaScript. Yes. Hey, look, I'm self-taught, all right? So some things that you're going to look at and be like, oh, that's basic shit. How do you not know that? Well, I have to learn one thing at a time. And I probably know a lot of things you don't know. That's all I got to say about that. Everybody has their strengths, and even people who have coded for a long time may not know everything when it comes down to it. So I think if we can put our egos aside and just try to learn, I think we're all going to be in a better position. Just put our egos in a can for now, and then let's look at this and try to make some progress.
KV Kingdom asks, what do you mean Robinhood doesn't have any New York companies? What I'm saying is that I was looking up the New York cannabis stocks. And they don't list any of the major ones, so that's what I meant.
A $5 super chat from Corey Davis. Thank you so much, Corey. He says Robinhood only uses the S&P 500. They don't use the Dow or the other one. I tried to look for the Dow, and if you look for the Dow on Robinhood, it shows you a stock called Dow, but it's not the
Dow.
It's not the ETF huge Dow Jones Industrial thing,
Huh. That's weird. Yeah, I'm definitely going to open an account with TD. Well, I opened an account, but I'm going to start putting some trades in there eventually.
You're going to start putting some money into your TD account?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for this ITRM load to blow, and then I'm going to grab some money and throw it around in other places.
Vino with a $2 super chat saying, put my ego aside? Psh, don't tell me what to do. Well, I'm talking more about the code side of today's stream and not really the stonks side. But yeah, don't let that ego get in the way. That'll hurt you. So, okay, he's creating a function. He's initializing it and calling itself what it is. And then we're defining some new properties. This is a definition of a property. So MMO_core.parameters is a new property, right? .parameters equals plugin manager.parameters MMO core. And when you do this, it's telling the plugin manager that this plugin will have parameters and to store that data inside the plugin manager. So if you call it inside the game, it knows what it is. And it's going to be referenced with this key MMO_core, which matches the name of the file. I think it actually has to match the name of the file. I could be mistaken on this, but I would just, for just default value, I would put it the exact name of the JS file when you do the .parameters property of your thing to be equal to plugin manager. What I think is happening is, because if you do it that way, then the plugin manager will remember the properties, and you can reference them inside parameters, MMO_core.parameters from now on, instead of calling on the plugin manager every time you want to check a parameter of your own plugin. So this is really cool. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that as well? Okay, so I'm gonna create a function just like this inside my client. Now this is all client side. We don't really see the server running here. He's running the server in a different way, so my server code will look different than my client code, but I'm going to try to copy some of these methods and the way that he's doing it, because it looks very clean. It's all separated, and I want to get better, and I think I need to use examples of code that is done better than mine to improve. So I'm gonna basically copy the idea. Okay, so we're using strict. I mean, right off the bat, like, you see how I've got a big mess of stuff going on right here. Inside of he's got it all segmented into different plugins, and it's clean. For now, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to split it all. I'm going to keep it in one, and I will split them later. I want to refactor one thing at a time. Edit plugin parameters in the console. Wait, hold on. Sir Legna says, yes, it does have to match, referring to this over here when you refer to this, to the name of the file. Plugin Manager manages it via file name, command, and arguments. Okay, I figured as much. Vino says also make it easier to edit plugin parameters in the console, I believe. And then, so Sir Legna's talking to Vino here. MZ makes it super easy to toggle/change plugin params in the game console. Interesting. You need to refactor the blob code. I know I do, and I plan to, but one thing at a time. I never tried to change a plugin parameter from the console in the game. That's interesting. T. I remember you asking about that a while ago for some other reason. You asked if it was possible to change the plugin parameters in the game. And Vino's saying you can.
There is a way to do it. I thought you couldn't. I thought you couldn't. And so I was saying, yeah, I don't think you can. But there is a way to do it.
Well, that's what Vino's saying too.
Yeah.
That's really cool, Vino. The Visu plugin started doing it, and it was amazing to quickly change them. That's good to know. That's really good to know. Let's start by making a function of our entire client. I want to do that. That's great. I'm going to start this right after I do use strict. We'll create a function here. Wait, this should be like this. Yeah. Function. And then we'll call it the name of our plugin. DG6_MZMMO client. Like, very, very verbose. And then we want to do this.initialize.apply. So wait, hold on. How does he do it? This.initialize.apply. Yes. And then you're passing in this and the arguments. This.initialize.apply, passing in this, comma, arguments. And that's basically it. That's your main thing. And that's your main function. Okay, so we made a main function. Great. But what that lets us do is now this is an object, I believe. And we can apply... This is a function that we can apply properties to. So we can start by defining its parameters. So outside of this function, we'll say DG_6_MZMMO client dot parameters equals plugin manager dot parameters. I don't know if that's capitalized on that one. It's not. Okay. And then I reference the same file name in there. Excuse me. DG_6 underscore MZMMO client. And now if I want to call one of my parameters, I can say DG_6 underscore MZMMO client dot parameters dot something, or maybe it's a index. I'm not sure. Reading some chats. So to change Visu plugin parameters in the console, you do visu mz.pluginname.settings.param. Okay. They made their own plugin parameter manager. Okay, not built into the engine itself. If you start typing it, you will get a list of their plugins to choose from. The engine does it with my plugins too. It's a bit different depending on how you set it up, but every plugin I have can be edited in the console now. Well, that's really cool. So Vino took an idea that Vigistella put together, and he kind of redid it for his own plugins. I like that. If you check the plugin manager, it contains all the plugins and commands. So here's where he's defining socket. Okay, and in the plugin is where the server location is being held. I don't think I need to do that because I'm not making a plugin that will like be, you know, like plug and play for other games. It's basically specifically designed for my own MMO. But in this case, he's going the next step and saying, let's make a parameter and let the player, or let the dev, not the player, but the dev, input the server location. I guess it's good to know how to do that. He's calling the parameter of server location, which is probably, yeah, it's set up as a parameter here with a default. And so that would pull this data by default and let the player change it inside the, not the player, the dev change it. And then he's converting this to a string as well to make sure it's a string. io.connect to this location as a string. Excuse me. MMO_core.allow touch equals true. So allow touch. I think that is for touchscreens. I believe. I'm not sure. What does allow touch equal true mean? I mean, right now, I don't think it's anything built in, right? Or is allow touch something built in? It may be in my mind. I'm thinking it's something built in that will let the like mobile device allow touchscreen interfacing, or it could just be right now as it looks as an arbitrary Boolean property of MMO core function. Now, because I don't understand what it's doing, I'm not going to just copy that for the sake of copying it. Right, okay, MMO core has no built-in functionality. As you can see, he just created. That's what I'm saying. So it's like an arbitrary thing he's going to use later on that he's setting to true. So I'm going to leave that out of my recreation of it or whatever. But keep in mind, it's it's part of a bunch of other plugins inside of RPG Maker MZ. So you can try to do methods on other objects, but I don't think that's a method, right? This is just, it's just creating like a property of MMO core and setting it to a Boolean value of true for now. Okay, moving on. We're creating a function. Is it self-executing? Let me look at the end. Where does the end go? It is a self-executing function, and you can see that it's going to try to run this automatically No, that is not a method. That is a variable / property. What do you mean? What do you mean? This? No, I didn't say this was a method. It's just a Boolean. It's just a property. Right. Anyway, moving on. This is a self-executing function, and you can see that because it's encapsulated by itself, or it's encapsulated, right? It's a function, and then it's encapsulated, and then at the end, yes, please. And then at the end, you have an execute brace at the end.
Vino, I've already made 71 cents on your suggestion. Lit. 76.
Lit, fire, jigga hot.
Looking good, looking good.
So basically what that means, the self-executing function, is when the code is ran, like when the plugin is ran, it will try to do this code automatically. And it's a good little trick to make your code work. Like you write it and you're like, it's not working, it's not executing, because there's no trigger for it. And if it's not triggered, it's not going to really do anything. But when you write it this way, it causes itself to fire as soon as it's written, to my understanding, which is really cool. And that's what it's doing here. So what is happening in this self-executing function? It is doing some things. It's listening. It's listening. This is a socket IO. Because I've learned socket IO, I know what's happening here. This is the data that would be passed into the disconnect function event. And it's running an arrow function with passing the data, with receiving data reason when it hears the disconnect event. And then what it's doing is document.dispatch event, new event. It's creating a new event, which the server should have a listener for. Dispatch event for connection lost. Either the server is listening for it, or the client is listening for this to trigger at another location. Most likely it's server to client, client to server type of send receive. I notice a convention that he's using with all his WebSockets, because I've seen more of his code. He's not putting any spaces in the events for your socket. Now, I looked in WebSocket, I looked at Socket IO, and it allows you to put spaces in your events. But as a general convention, what's his name? Sam, I'll call him Sam. Sam decided not to include any spaces in any of his events. So, I mean, that's cool. You pick your own conventions, stick to them. I have a messy convention. Because I was still learning when I was trying to, and I'm like, can I do spaces? So I tried to do spaces. But then sometimes I did all caps, and then I did underscores, and I have, I have a space here. I was following a tutorial for that one that included a space, which is why I know you can have spaces inside your socket IO event listeners and emitters. And then I camel case some, I underscore some, so it's kind of messy, and I plan to refactor this at some point. And Sam's using all lowercase with underscores, which is similar to the way that the database for SQL looks, how I've set up the database. It's all lowercase underscores, no spaces. Janine says, get you a lover that listens to you like this function listens to events. Always listening. I get it. Janine's making a little pun there. Mm-hmm. This self-executing function is always listening. It's always there waiting for, if a disconnect happens, it creates a new event that says the connection was lost. And then it closes the connection, and it sets a timeout. Arrow functioning a constant string being, if they're using English. So he set it up to be in multiple languages. Le Dieu va rendemerer. I think, is that French? I don't know. Le Dieu va. Where did T go? Is this French? Le Dieu va rendemerer.
Le Dieu va.
Le Dieu va.
Redémarrer.
That's French.
Yeah.
So hey, we can
Wait. The day or
what does it say?
Time. Wait.
It's supposed to probably the game will reload now because if it's probably the same thing and
Le Juva, something want.
it will now reload or something right there. All right.
Yeah.
So it's French. We can say Samuel Lespès Cardillo is probably a French person, or a French-speaking person, because we're creating a gosh, I forgot the name of this. I know the name of it. It's saying if English, then return this value. If not English, then return this value. There's a ternary operator. That's the word. This is called a ternary operator, and it creates a constant and stores it to one or the other value. If true, this. If false, this. Okay, and then it's creating an alert, and that will pass the string in there. Location.reload, comma 1000. Now this 1000 is a millisecond. It's a truncated if statement. That's right. A ternary operator. This is in milliseconds, so this is going to try to reload in 1 second. Every second it will try to do that. Clean up the menu. Window_menu command. So now this is a built-in MZ thing here. Window_menu command. .prototype.make command list equal function. Or maybe he's writing it. Maybe he's writing it extending the window base. Now I could open up the JS to find out for sure, but I have so much to cover. I'm just gonna move on. So this is a function that's going to add main commands, add original commands, and add options commands. Now these are functions that I haven't seen yet, so I imagine these commands, he's overwriting it. Clean up the menu. Okay, so he's overwriting the make command list. That's what it looks like, says Serlegna. Wrath of Wood. So copy paste the game, done. Am I right? No, not necessarily. He's using a completely different database, and this is for MV, but it should work in MZ mostly. And I'm trying to learn. More importantly than getting the game done, I want to learn, because if you learn it right, then you can get the game done. So it's like 2 birds, 1 stone. And it's not something you're just going to be able to read once and absorb completely. You have to go over it over and over and over and over again, and eventually stuff will start to stick with you. And if you use it, you won't lose it. So I'll keep working on my project while I'm looking at code, and hopefully we'll make some progress. Serlegna says, generally copy pasting code will bite you in the butt so much more than it's worth. I have only ever seen one developer who could do copy pasta development and actually succeed in it. Really? Who did that? I don't just want this functionality. In fact, I don't want most of this functionality. I want to see how he's doing it, and I want to know more than just have it. I want to know how it's done, and be able to put it together myself. That's what's exciting to me. Do you know what opens jar files? I think it's Java. Yeah, probably Java. I think it's a Java RAR file.
They sell some pretty cool jar openers on Amazon too.
Just use a mouse pad, man. Just twist it with a mouse pad. Easy. One of my old bosses, he was really good at it. The code wasn't great, but he could rapid develop via copying. Interesting. What? I literally use copy pasta across all my coding and functionality, then tweak it afterwards. I find it much faster to paste/edit than type full raw code.
I agree.
No, listen.
I do Control-Z all the time and give Drifty a heart attack too.
No, listen. I'm not saying you shouldn't use the copy paste functions, or you shouldn't. What I'm trying to say is here, I'm not trying to just copy his plugins and put him in my game and say that this is I made this. I want to see how he did it, and I want to learn how it's done, and then then incorporate those things in my project so that I can do it the right way, or at least in a better way, Moving on, the next thing, he's creating another property of the MMO core, MMO underscore core function that was created, and dot underscore on touch start is equal to touch input dot on touch start. So he's just adding some, he's attaching some existing code into this functionality, into his object. So he's like increasing the functionality of the function object that he's creating. Touch input dot on touch start equal function new. So this is interesting what's happening here. He's overriding the touch input function, but before he overwrites it, he's storing it into the MMO underscore core. So he's like backing up the data onto his function, and then he's overwriting it here. Function event if the MMO underscore core dot allow touch does not allow touch. So this little exclamation mark will reverse the value. So if you do this without this, it's saying if this is true, return. But right now it's saying if this is false, return. But if you see, remember at the top he set it to true. So if this is false, return. Otherwise it'll do this thing: MMO underscore core dot underscore on touch start dot call this comma event, and then it aliases. So this will allow, basically what this is doing is it's allowing MMO underscore core to control whether touch input works or not, if I'm correct. This is saying, now we have this code in this function, and the original now will either immediately break out and not work if we turn it off in this function. Hey, Benjamin Kraft, how you doing? We're looking at some rather good code, and in my opinion, I'm an amateur coder, but I love to learn new code, and I'm trying to make something similar to what this plugin is doing. And I've been trying to do this I've been working on this one for a month now, but I was trying to do this idea well before I actually started coding it. And so I found, somebody sent me this. It was Zariab sent me this guy's code, or a link to his GitHub. It's in the Discord. If you go to the MZMMO underscore coding channel, there's a link to it. You can download it and check it out yourself too. And I think it's pretty cool, and I want to learn from looking at it, going through it line by line, because that's the only way that I'm going to get it, is if I slowly go through it. And I don't want all this functionality. There's so much in here that I don't need and don't want, but I want to see some of the cool methods that are being used, and the way that some of it's being set up so that I can learn from it. How are you doing, Benjamin? Benjamin Kraft says, seeing how far you've come over the past couple years is awesome, man. Keep up the good work. Oh, thank you. I'll try. I'll do my best. What are you working on, Benjamin? What you been up to, man? So this is cool. He basically hijacked the touch input and said, if I turn it off in my plugin, then it won't work inside the engine at all. So that's really neat. Drifty will eventually be making his own engine. I don't know about that. We'll see. Probably not. MMO underscore core dot send message equal function message. This is something I've seen already. This is exposed functions. I don't really know what that means. But this is just so that you can send a message. If the message length is less than or equal to 0, return. So if it's an invalid length, or you're trying to press enter and it has no characters, then it won't try to send a blank packet. And this is the safety to stop it from sending a blank packet. Then it says MMO underscore core dot socket dot emit. Now we're using MMO underscore core dot socket instead of socket dot, because he's defining, he's basically hijacking the functionality of socket.io here to by creating a property of his own function, MMO underscore core, calling it .socket, and then setting its value to the io.connect of the server address. So right here, it's sending, when it emits, it's sending to the server address the message, and it's passing the data message. So this is the event name. So this is the emitter. So the server would need to have a listener event, and it would be like sockets dot on, and then parenthesis new, exactly spelled the same for this name event, and then comma, and it would have to receive message. And then you would make a function, an arrow function, and make the server do what you want it to do, like emit another to the rest of the clients so that all the clients can see what was typed, or whatever you want to happen whenever somebody sends a message. So it's pretty basic right there. Really, really cool little core function to set up the aliasing of parameters, the aliasing of your socket, like not necessarily aliasing, but it's like taking the functionality of these existing other functions and objects and attaching them to a new function object that you create and setting those as a property of your new function object. And that's basically it. It runs it as a self-executing, so it's always listening, it's always going. Balls deep on a synthwave album. Nice. Second one. Took a bit of a break from RPG Maker to focus on the music. I completely understand that. Gotta follow and do what you like to do. Wrath of Wood said, this is intense. I've never thought I'd ever get into coding, but I'm learning C# and Java for video games. Yeah, Wrath of Wood. Take it one step at a time. Try to learn one little thing at a time. And you just stay at it for years, and eventually you can do all kinds of cool stuff. And people were like, whoa, that's magic, dude. It's like, well, it didn't just happen overnight. You know what I mean? You didn't just decide one day you wanted to learn it, and then the next day you knew it. It's like, well, I decided one day I wanted to know how to do this, and so I worked at it for years and years and years, and eventually,
it takes dedication.
Eventually you'll be able to do some cool stuff. It's persistence and like, what's the right word for it? Like dedication, yeah, but it's more so like forcing yourself to continue to do it. Discipline. It takes discipline. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
If you want to get good at it, it takes discipline.
Yep.
I'm guessing exposed function is stating that this function is expected to be publicly available to other files. Well, it would have to be for other things. Whenever another one of these plugins wants to send a message for any reason, then it would need to know MMO_core.send message. But here's the thing. The rest of these are not like, oh, no, they are. Wait, no, they're not. They're all of these functions are available to the other plugins because they'll all be loaded. So I don't know what the difference is by putting this here. Like this doesn't change anything. Whatever. We'll figure it out as we go along. That's the core, okay? So in the core, he's got this self-executing thing where he's aliasing socket.io.connect. Now, I'm doing something different, and I don't know if I want to refactor into that yet because I'm using namespaces, and I'm doing something different, and he's got like the chat room always connected, and everyone could talk to anyone in another chat room. I, on the other hand, do not want to do that. I don't want to take up the game's expensive real estate with a chat box. I don't think the game needs a chat box. Here's why. We have Discord, and I would be losing an opportunity to have another Discord member if I incorporated chat inside the game. So instead of doing that, I'll have, when the game goes, into the alpha or the beta or public or whatever, I'll just have a chat. I'll have a Discord chat. And then there'll be a link you click, in the options or whatever. Join the chat. And then all the chat can be handled on a separate window inside of Discord.
I like that.
And yeah, and you could do so much more in Discord than I could ever try to code inside of MZ.
Right.
So I'm not going to do it that way. And I don't think you need to do it that way. And I think you're going to be losing another chat room to mute. Great. Well, if you're playing the game, maybe you'll have it open. I don't know. But it would be much better to use Discord for the chat instead of taking up game real estate for that. So I don't think it's necessary. Discord's just a way better thing. You still playing music here and there, Drifty? Absolutely. Absolutely. Or use that Discord API, you might be able to show the Discord in the game. I've already done it with Discord JS, and incorporating it as Discord JS requires webhooks and making a bot for it. Believe it or not, I actually started this project by making it a Discord JS using the Discord API. And everything that I wanted to transmit, I was using as the server, I was using the Discord as the server. And we had so many limitations, like 2,000 character limits. Everything changes the data type because the middleman changes everything to a weird kind of string. And so I had to restart. And then I restarted, and then I started to use Faye as the server. That only lasted one day, and I was like, okay, I don't like this. Let me try another one. Then I found Socket.io, and I'm like, Socket.io is clearly the winner here using WebSockets. The Socket.io method is definitely better than trying to do it through any other method that I found. So that's what I do now. I still use Socket.io for the communication between server and client and whatnot. And then the server talks to the SQL database to store the data and tables. Okay, so we've looked at the core. We have a lot of other files that he's got. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 total files. So from the core, which one do we want to look at next? Like I said, I'm going to skip the chat box because I don't want that. I don't need that functionality. He's got a bank function. That's kind of cool. I also had the idea of putting a bank in, and I started that and have that kind of in there a little bit. I need to change it because it's still using the botchannel.send. It's still using the Discord API to send and receive data to store into a database, which I'm not going to do because that was also using MySQL, MySQL, was it SQLite 3? There's no my. It was SQLite 3, which is slower and less secure than MySQL. So I'm using MySQL with Socket.io instead of Discord JS API. And shut up, Sir Legna. My. All right. So easy to lose yourself.
In the music?
Yep. Mom spaghetti. There you go. Core NPCs. All right, let's look at core NPCs. This is all by Samuel Lespes Cardillo. No plugin commands. But once again, creating a function and then another self-executing function. So this whole function runs itself and is always listening. It's always there listening, waiting patiently. But anyway, let's look at what's happening. This is the part I'm curious on. The NPCs. Well, let's see what's happening. He's creating a function and setting it to its own values, passing arguments, whatever. Initializing his function. Then creating a self-executing function. And adding a property to the main function, which is being set to a new blank object. And then he's commenting out a bunch of code. Oh no, this is his model. This is what it's supposed to look like. This was he made his own reference. He wrote a reference and commented it out so he knows what's supposed to be inside it. I'm Batman. He's creating another property called add NPC to MMO core NPCs. It's equal to the data that's passed in, creating an arrow function. So it's equal to a function that's passed data. And it's saying, here's a conditional if the data.id index of NPCs, which NPCs is the function, is an object, okay. So if there's an index of that object and is not equal to undefined. So if the data's that's passed through this function, if the data's .id is undefined, then it won't do this. So it has to be defined. It's a catch so that it doesn't crash. And $GameMap._events, the new function we created, .npcs data that was passed the data that was passed's ID. And then the index of that ID. So we've got an index of an index here. Underscore event ID is also not undefined. So it's checking even further. Because if that shows up as undefined, then it won't happen. Then what's happening is that's the end of it. And that's the end of the conditional. And now this is what's going to happen. If both of these show up as something and not undefined, then it's going to erase event. $GameMap.eraseEvent inside of this function's npc data.id index underscore event ID index of that ID. So index of an index of this method of this, which is an object of this function. So it's basically going to erase the event. If it's not undefined, erase that event. And then do other things as well. It's going to create normal event at, and is calling on the data that was passed to it, but it's looking inside the index npc data. So now we have the index of an index of an index, right? So it's passing in an object. This data is an object. Arrow says, I don't like it when the code is so long that I need to scroll horizontally. Me neither. What I'll do is I'll just go like this. I straight up do that because then I can read it better. But I don't want to mess with his code because I want to keep it the way that he wrote it. And I'll change it my own way, right? Put that on word wrap. Probably can put that on word wrap. Let's see. But word wrap confuses me sometimes because I'm not sure if they manually, if they manually did that or not. Like if they manually spaced it. I manually space my code without a word wrap on. But by popular request, well, we're going to word wrap for right now. Anyway, where were we? We're looking at the index of an index of an index for the data. Because this is an object. It's an event, object array. And we've got character name, which is stored in the skin, which is stored in the NPC data of the data object. Comma, we're looking at, we're using create normal event at. So this is the first parameter. And we're saying for the data we want in the first argument, the first parameter, what's an argument, right? Yeah, it's an argument. The first argument for this function, we want to find character name, which is in the skin, which is in NPC data, which is in the data function that was passed into the add NPC. Okay, so the second argument is saying in this same object, we want to look inside this index of this index of this index of this index of this index. But this is an object, and they're like nested in here. So we're looking for the character index inside the skin again, I suppose. I don't know why it's in there twice. That's weird. Is that a bug? Is that supposed to be that way? Maybe it is. It's confusing to me. But the third argument goes on, and it's saying we're looking for the X value inside the NPC data of that object that was sent in here. And then the fourth one, same thing that's happening. We're looking for the Y for the NPC data of that object. And then the fifth one is 2, the sixth one is 0, and the third and the next one is true. And I don't know exactly all of the art, what all of these need. Create normal event. I guess if we look up create normal event, let me open a file. Look at his model. He has skin under skin. So it's not a bug. That's the way he wrote it. There's no function create normal event in MZ codebase. Okay, so he must be defining create normal event at function later on. He must be defining that somewhere because it's not in. That's what I was about to do, and Arrow looked it up. Serlingna says, yeah, I thought MZ doesn't have create normal event. So he made a new function for it, which is kind of what I need to do, right? Remember, Serlingna, what we're trying to do? I think he's doing some of the things that we were trying to do, and this is why I wanted to look at his code. I was like, that would make my event cloner plugin so much easier, and you probably already started looking for it and couldn't find it. He wrote it, but let's see how he did it, right? Let's get there. Okay, so that's one thing. He's calling this. He's calling this. He's making the data.id equal to create normal event at function that he creates. This is the function with arguments passed. Then he's creating another property called .headDisplay inside of the data ID, and he's saying that's equal to this function's .npcs data ID .list .push code 108. So he's hijacking code 108. Now I don't have these memorized. I would have to look. Let's open file and find out what code 108 is supposed to be. JS. What is that going to be in the core? I can tell you on the fly. Wait, where did I click? On the fly event creation is tricky in RPG Maker. That's what we've been trying to do. I don't know if you've been following the progress for MZMMO Arrow, but we've been trying different methods to create an event for the player. Like, so I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I didn't bug out my code, I may have, because I'm in the middle of trying things. Oh yeah, I updated a Vigistella plugin. Let me just get that real quick. Now, I've tried to do it with Vigistella's event creator thingy. And it works, but it makes every new event start at 1,000. And what I need it to do is to be set as a string. So as the player's walking around, I want an event to follow them, basically, that would serve as a marker. So it updates their location, direction, like, you know, a certain number of times a second, like 5 or 6 times a second. And then when another player walks on the map, you see the event, an event is created that follows the other player. So you can see another event moving around. And you can be sitting here and watching another player walk around. But basically in the MZMMO, in the MZ client, it's going to be creating an event that replicates where the other player is standing with the same image. So the character sprite and the sprite index and the direction data. And so I need to reference to change those, not with a number, but with a string. Because if I can reference them as a string, then I can set the name of the character, not just the event ID, but like the actual reference to, if I do like set direction or set character sprite functions, you know, you have to pass in an event number. I need to pass in an ID, like not a number, but like the character name. And so I've already got it set up so you can't have two people with the same character name. and I've got it set up so that you can't have the same account name. But if I were able to make an event dynamically that's not a number, but instead the name of a character, then I know I have a system that we've coded thanks to Janine and Serlegna that will work, you know. But it always requires there be a number, and with the character generator, not the character generator, but the event spawner. The event spawner from Vigistella specifically starts at 1,000, and the problem with that, well, there's several. I don't need to go into all of them, but a main one is event 1,000 will be different for each person, because event 1,000 will be the first one that's drawn chronologically based on who was there first. So if you show up, the way that I had it, it wouldn't show anybody unless the person who was, but it would show the person if you were there already and then somebody else shows up, and then you would see them walking. But if I tried to move, you'd be using the same character number, because it uses 1,000 or 1,001 or 1,002. And so when I move, it takes the character's tracer sprite and it goes after me and it follows me. So we both end up sharing the same event, and we're both walking. And I've displayed that several times. But right now there's only one player, and we took that code, we commented that code out. But yeah, that was the big problem we had with it. Arrow says, I'm kind of new to MZMMO. I just saw you kind of try to create events. Yeah. Wrath of Wood says, I had a crazy idea. What if you combined the amalgamation and the MMO? Well, I mean, I got to make an MMO before I try to do anything crazy to it, Wrath. I want to make this not a bloated project. I want it to be, before I add a bunch of crap to it, I want to basically have some functions, have some features, but I don't want to just add all the placeholders for the features, and because right now there's really not much you can do. It's kind of a single player thing. There's a battle system. It's got the beginnings of a game, you know. And before I start balancing numbers and injecting new things, it's already got a bunch of items. I want to get the multiplayer feel of the game right, so that's what I'm working on. Anyway, that was a quick refresher. So Legna says, the character name as the identifier would require rewriting how the events are read in, and that would most likely make it incompatible. I do have an idea, though, on how to achieve, so I might have a solution, but I'm unsure the compatibility support. Interesting. I'm going to go back to the code, because I'm looking at how he's doing some stuff over here. Let me close core and open another file. And maybe it's in managers or objects. Okay, let's close managers, open file. Maybe it's in objects. Command. So in command, you have a lot of commands here. Son of a. I'm looking for a specific. Here we go. Command 101, yada yada yada, and then you have command 102. Does things. Command 402, command 403, command 103. And I thought maybe he was doing something like that over here when he was calling code. Push code 108. It's kind of like a move event, isn't it? Parenthesis code 108. It's pushing parameter player plus data NPC data index name of that plus that. So this is it's the event commands. So he's pushing event commands. I'm trying to figure out what this is doing. Code 108, indent 0, parameters, player plus data, index name of index, NPC data of data, and then adding the JavaScript or HTML bracket at the end. So it's like show choices and other things. Right. Okay. But I don't know which one it is. Command 108 is, so would that be code 108? Okay. Maybe that's what we're looking for. Command 108. Oops, I found it. Comment. Well, command 108 is comment. To leave a comment. I've got them memorized. Okay. Nice. If you do it enough, you'll memorize stuff for sure. Okay, moving on. He sets a comment in. Maybe that's what it's doing. Take care, Arrow. Sorry to bore you. we just randomly roam around in confusion. That's basically what's happening here. What he's doing next is setting another property of the data ID index of NPC's object of the function. And he's setting priority type 1, step animation to false, move speed, the index of move speed of the index of the NPC data of the data object. Take care, KB. Well, you know, when you have all index of index of index, it gets confusing of what you're doing. But like it does make sense though, because he created a structure, and he's passing in some data. He's passing in like a data packet. KV and me are building houses in the Stonks channel to permanently move in. Are you now? Yeah, basically always trying to cut overhead, and so that we have more to invest, which will pay off in the end, hopefully. So this is very like, I mean, it's not too complex, but it's certainly a lot more going on than what I was trying to do. But I do like, I like that it's detailed. What I need to do is find the definition of where he does create normal event at. So I'm moving down. It's not that big of a file. We're going to get there. He's got remove NPC equals a new arrow function passing in data. And if it's undefined returned, so it's got to have data to do this. And if it does, then it'll say if game map dot underscore events, event ID is found. It you know, it's not undefined. Then, you know, it'll continue. Because it will return if it is undefined. This is to stop it from crashing. This is saying, if the data packet comes back undefined, just return and ignore it. Don't crash the server. or crash the client. And if the underscore event ID is undefined, just return and don't do anything else, because we don't want to try to do this if we don't have data and if we don't have specifically an event ID of that data. But if we do, then it wants it to game map erase event that event, because if you try to erase an event that that doesn't exist, it'll just crash. Then we've got the socket. This is our event listener. This is listening for when we hear NPCs get, and we're saying this isn't asynchronous. We need to make sure this happens. We need to promise that it's going to happen. It's passing a data arrow function with a for loop. And it says let ID and object.keys MMO core NPC function .npcs. That's interesting. Okay, hold on. For loop let ID in objects. How does that work? How does a for loop work in let this in blah 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 blah? It doesn't have any obviously I don't understand this basic JavaScript thing, because I know how to do a for loop, right? This is my understanding of a for loop. You do three things. You have let something equal a value, then you have your conditions, I less than object.length, whatever that is, and then you have what you want to happen every iteration, like I++, and then you do the function, right? So that's my understanding. That's my understanding of a for loop. But how does this work when you have let something be in blah blah blah? N is a keyword which basically iterates for each and sets ID to the index of that element. Okay. Let me comment out the garbage I wrote so that it doesn't crash this thing. N is a keyword which basically iterates for each as if it was an array. So this is an array, which he set up as data having indexes, so there'd be, so for each NPC, iterate through each of them. So we're going to make a temporary variable, right? Call it ID, and it's set to a value of each of the NPCs. And it sets ID to the index of that element. Okay. All right, I can see that. So ID itself will become an array. Or no. ID itself will become an index. And it will be different each iteration. Okay. Okay. This is so cool. I didn't even know you could do that. ID is the index. Yes. $GameMap.erase event. The old way of doing for each? Yeah, okay, I'm a new coder. I've only been coding for a relatively few number of years. Only 2 years, 2 to 3 years seriously, like trying to code stuff. Before that, it's like, well, I learned just enough to make a script call work, you know? It's not bad, I still do it often. I've never done this unless I was following a tutorial somewhere and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just following it. But this is cool. You can do a for loop like that. But anyway, moving on. That's great. $GameMap.erase event. And now, because ID is its own index, it will also store the data of what's inside NPCs. So its index will have the value of several values. And so this is specifically saying erase the event, which is this event ID, of each for each of them and the NPCs. And then it does another for loop inside of here that says for let NPC equal data.npcs. And the data is what is passed into it. And here it says this functions.addNPC passing in NPCs, which would be iterating through all of the data that was passed through its NPCs. Okay. This guy's good. I like it. It's not index, it is key value. I don't know. I think it's index because you were right. It's index because this index has its own it has its own values. Like ID through here, since it's being set to every index of NPCs, it will have all of the other following indices, right? So you can look for ID index event ID and ID event whatever else is stored in there for each one of them. Moving on, then he does a listener, a socket.io listener, listening for the event named NPC_respawn. And then when it hears it, it's going to take the data that it receives and arrow function something with that data. It's going to use the add NPC function of its own main object, function object, passing in the data. And then he wants to, you can see he's got comments here. He wanted to play an animation when that happens too, but he never did that, I suppose. Or maybe he did later and forgot to take the comment out. And then we have another listener for when the NPC has died. And saying function NPC, kill author. Now this is just weird. Like maybe he went back later and ES6'd it and arrow function stuff, because this one is not arrow functioning. You could have arrow functioned this. Wouldn't have changed it really. If kill author, this is all commented out. So this is a listener that's doing nothing. If it hears NPC_dead, it's going to do nothing. It does nothing. But maybe it was supposed to do something at some point, and he just didn't get back around to coding what happens for that listener. So it does nothing here. Absolutely, you can delete all that, won't matter. Then we have another listener for NPC looted. It's kind of crazy. He goes back and forth between arrow functions and not arrow functions. I do the same thing. What this right here, NPC respawn, puts the guy back. The NPC dead does nothing. I guess what it was supposed to do is to make it be removed or kill it or something. I don't know. Yeah, it does nothing though. It was going to do remove NPC, right? You see, but it was commented out and maybe it didn't work. And he wanted to release it anyway. He's like, okay, let's just make it not crash. Get rid of the stuff that's broken. We'll leave it in here like I do with mine as well. I have a lot of commented out stuff. Like I still have, your plugin, Sirlegna, in here with like the instructions to use it in case for some reason we get it working again and like we want to go that route. It's just there. But man, I really need to move some more comments off. My clipboard was all comments. Just a bunch of stuff. Wait, this was different. I had like 1,000 lines of... Anyway, I moved my... I opened a folder in VS Code and that closes everything that you're doing. It's kind of stupid how VS Code does that. But it's fine. He brought it to the client instead of the server managing that. Well, right here is I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is the server or the client. I think this is the client here. All of these plugins are on the client, so this is the client. Anyway, moving on. If it doesn't have an ID, then return so it doesn't crash. and then run a function, remove NPC if it does. Another listener that's listening for NPC underscore dead. And this is your failsafe. If it comes back, this data is undefined, then return so it doesn't crash. Also, if the event ID is not there, then return. And then if it does, then erase the event. We looked at that. Then he says, I don't get the point of this. He's got another listener. Refresh NPCs on map function. Socket emitter. It sends an emitter to the server to do something. So he's also like, maybe he wrote this and he's like, I don't even know what I was thinking. And he commented out his code instead of deleting it. But he's like, maybe I do need it, so I'm not going to delete it. I just don't understand it right now. Or maybe he was following somebody else's tutorial. It's very likely that Sam was looking at somebody else's work, right? And then he was like, I don't know why I need to write an refresh NPCs on map listener and write the socket emitter for that. But he wrote it anyway and then commented it out. So it's likely that some of this was taken from other people's work. And that's just the natural ways of things. It is coding circle. It's the full... It's the coding circle of life. It's great. It's great. So then we have refresh NPCs on map. This is a different... He commented out this one. And then Waffles with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Waffles. How are you doing today? Yeah, Chill Kaiju was like, I commented out, I don't know what I was thinking, lol. Waffles says with a $2 super chat, hashtag Vino is noob. Happy stream day. Happy stream today. Thank you so much, Waffles. It's much better when you show up and shout out and drop a couple bucks. Thank you so much for tuning in, Waffles. We're looking at code, so I don't expect you to stay too long. The Lion King reference was the first thing I understood. Thank you for tuning in, Polka Latte. How is your day going, Polka? What are you up to? What are you working on? What is / why did I choose to program? Business was much more profitable. So he commented this out. He's like, I don't know what the point of this is. But then he eventually used the same listener to do something. And he just called data payload, which is the same thing as calling it data. You could call it monkey's banana, whatever. If he rewrote it, doing a failsafe. If it's undefined, return. And then it's saying character name index of skin, the value and character index of skin inside the NPC data function of the data that was passed into it is the value that's going to be set for this NPC's character name and character index. So this is how he's doing it. Serlegna, literally this, like in here is the way that I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to like figure out the methods that he's setting up right here and try to copy that. He rewrote the NPC dead function. That seems to be common behavior in his code. He's just overwriting functions. That is literally what my function is doing. If MO overhead exists, we force a refresh. So that's another JS file. But he took it out. He said, okay, if this function exists, this object exists, then force refresh, and he just commented out. So that's fine. He's got another listener right here. If the NPC is moving function. So if there is no underscore sprite set on the scene data of the scene manager, or if scene manager._scene is not an instance of scene battle, then return. Or no, is an instance of scene. So if you're in battle, don't do this. Or if the sprite set is not on the scene manager, don't do this. It's a fail-safe here to not move an NPC during battle, or what is this one doing? Or if it can't find the sprite set to do it. also, if it comes back as undefined, don't do it. But if it doesn't meet those fail-safe, or if those fail-safes go through and it doesn't fail, then update the movement speed and frequency, and it's doing set move speed of data.moveSpeed for this data.id and the NPCs of this object, this function object, set move frequency, move straight. So it's literally executing a move route, isn't it? It's like doing a move route. Data.direction, move straight in that direction. And then we have another conditional at the end, at the final part of this code. If MMO core npc.npcs data id.x is not equal to data.x, or it's not equal to the y that it's expecting, or if it is equal. Okay, wait, no, wait. Yeah, if it's not equal to x and it's not equal to the y, then it needs to update it, huh? Set position. So after the move, check the data again and communicate and make sure that the server and the client are both agreed upon where it's at. And if it's not where it's at on the client, where it should be in the server data, then set its position to where it is on the server. And that's the end of the movement, NPC move listener. And then it's the end of the encapsulation of the self-executing function, which is always on and running every frame. And that's the whole thing of the core NPCs. There's a lot to unpack here. This is really cool. The last bit is just updating the X and the Y after moving right. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to go through this again. But there's so much good stuff here. I like this. This is great. No, that's not always on and running. That runs on load. No, it's always on, isn't it? I mean, well, let's see. When it's loaded, it's going to run this. No, it's always on, Sir Legna. When you have these listeners, where's that? Here's a listener. If these listeners are not always on and listening, then they don't serve their purpose. They don't work. So this is what leads me to believe that they're always listening. The listener is always on. If you put function console log hello, the console will not spam the word. Yes, self-executing it will run. Right? It will run. I get it. Okay, so all right, that's what it's saying. Self-executing functions will run once. It will run itself when it's loaded. Gotcha. But the listeners are always on. The listeners are every frame they're checking. So these socket.on, these have to be running. Otherwise it just doesn't work. So I know that these, at least these sections, are always listening. But then the self-execution will happen once, automatically when it's loaded. Gotcha. Well, guys, I think we need to end the live stream. We've been going for a while. The listeners are always on and self-execution spams itself once. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun today. We got to look at some code, and we contemplated what we should do in the stock market.
Stonks.
The stock markets. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate that. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Join us on Discord. Links in the description below. Thank you to all the super chatters today. Let's see who was super chatting today. Vino, Corey Davis, Waffles was super chatting. Love you guys very much. Thank you so much. Polka Latte became a new member. What? Right at the end. Thank you so much, Polka Latte. Learned I should have went to business instead of programming. Waffles, I thought you just started. No, we started at 2 o'clock. It's 3:45 for me now. Thank you so much, Poco Latte, for becoming a new member. Licky tongue. Take care, Skepsis D. Have a fantastic day, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come join us in the Discord. We're still going to be messing around and having fun, doing similar stuff, but we'll end the live stream, so we'll let you go. Have a fantastic day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye-bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye. T, say something cool.
Something cool.
All right, let's see if it did it.
Something cool. Something cool.
Here we go. I got you.
Something cool. Something cool. Something cool. Something cool.
Bye, everybody.